Is it racist to prefer to date one race over another race? Considering all of the conversation that's happening right now, there was a very, very interesting conversation that got sparked in a private Facebook group that I created a couple years ago called Love Coaching Professionals. We have dating, relationship, sex, intimacy coaches from all over the world who come onto this group and discuss different coaching and dating related questions. Carmelia Ray, who's a dating coach and matchmaker and TV personality, and also an elite attraction coach with our company Attract Great Guys, posted a very interesting question yesterday in the Facebook group. She asked, serious question about clients' racial dating preferences. Is it considered racist when a client excludes dating a person of a particular race? Example, clients say I don't date Asian men or Indian or Black. I understand that we treat clients' requests as all preferences, and I've been told by some clients that they experience racism on dating apps and consider people to be racist when they refuse to date someone of a certain ethnicity. I'd love to hear some insight on how you handle this. There's a lot of biases, and when it comes to dating and matchmaking, discrimination in dating is at an all-time high, especially if you're a minority on an app. How do you approach this with someone who says they feel elements of matchmaking are racist? And it sparked a big conversation in the group, and there's dating coaches and experts and authors from all over who are weighing in and commenting. Now, if you don't think that there are unfair preferences in dating and online dating, let's just look at this image about racial preferences on online dating sites. And this was a pretty in-depth study from what I understand, and it is very clear. I mean, just looking at this, you look at the highest response rates, and across the board, white men are getting the highest response rates from women, and Asian women are getting the highest response rates from men. And on the male side, Black men get the lowest response rates from every other race except Black women, who give white men the lowest response rates. And Black women across the board receive the lowest response rates from men. So I'm going to go through some of their responses, and I'd like to hear from you in the comments section. Do you think it's racist to have a preference in dating one race over another? Let me know in the comments section. Now, the first response, being racist and prefer to date specific race, is completely something else. Let the client feel comfortable about their preferences and don't treat it as racist. And that had 8 thumbs up from people. So that is one perspective, is let people feel comfortable about their preferences and don't label it as racist. Now, the next person said this isn't new. There's always been implicit and explicit bias on considering ethnic-looking or Black women. Doesn't make someone racist, but we're all a product of society built on racism. So I think this answer broadens it a little bit and is implying that it isn't necessarily racist, but we're all part of a society that is built on racism, so it's really difficult to say. That's kind of what I'm getting from this. Now we get a definitive answer from the next comment. Not racist. People have the right to choose. If they're too choosy, whether it's on race, religion, politics, education, income, they run the risk of being alone. That's true. It's our job to manage their risk and steer them to optimal choices. But ultimately, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So I think this coach is saying that, it's not racist. You can choose what you want, but if you're too choosy, you might end up alone. The next comment, some people prefer to date someone with blonde hair. Other, scorpions, or maybe vegetarians. Maybe she meant Scorpios there. It's the matter of preference. Having preferences and being unreasonably choosy is not the same, though. Not really answering the question if it's racist or not, but okay. Another strong opinion. It's personal preference, not racist. Dating someone you're not attracted to for whatever reason, just to be more racially inclusive, sounds like a lose-lose to me. I'm all for people being more open-minded, but ultimately it's their choice. I mean, that makes sense about you shouldn't date someone to be more inclusive. You should date someone because they're a good fit for you. Next one, as a matchmaker, yes, we want to fulfill the client's needs, but I also try to broaden people's scope when it comes to their preferences. This seems like a common theme here. I don't think wanting certain preferences makes someone a racist. However, sometimes people deem one or all other races other than theirs as unattractive. Some would say that it's a less overt form of racism. That's interesting. And then the next person, again, no, not inherently. It depends on why they exclude them. This kind of is the question, right? Is it racist? Do the motives even matter? If you act on racism and take that action, does it really matter what your intention was? Or does it matter what your actions were? Something to think about. All right, now we have someone who thinks, yes, this is absolutely racist. Yes, it's racist, but I wouldn't label it as such to them. So this person thinks that their client is racist, but would not tell them that. They go on, we have preferences because of our limited life experiences and biases reinforced through societal patterns. I agree with that. As a dating coach who is the product of an interracial and interfaith relationship, I insist that my clients broaden their criteria to more meaningful qualities and challenge themselves to date outside their normal type, which includes race and sometimes even religion. Not everyone is ultimately open to it, as it can be very painful to examine our own biases, and sometimes the fear of the unknown or family pressure is too much. But it's something I require of everyone in my program to at least examine their beliefs and why they have them. I like the idea of having people explore their beliefs and why. So often people are climbing ladders and trying to attain things, but they don't really know why they're doing it, other than they're either trying to please someone else or they're chasing a dream of someone else's because they think that's the best dream for them. So I love examining the motives. I do think it's interesting that this person is the first person that thinks that it's racist. And look, 13 likes. So a lot of agreement there. Let's see if her initial yes, it's racist sparks more coaches to say that. The next comment, I ask a lot of questions to find out what's really going on. Is it their implicit bias, or are they just not realizing what they're saying, or are they a f***ing racist? To a client that might say, I won't date black men, I would ask, what if such and such hot black popular actor came up and told you that you were the most beautiful woman in the world and they wanted to take you out on a date? What would you say? If it's, well, of course I'd take him up on it, then it's a conversation around not making generalities and seeing humans for being individual humans, not for their background. If it's a hard no, then it's a conversation about race. I've truly only had one client who was the latter, racist. And after realizing there was no getting through to her, I let her know it was her last session with me. I have no desire to have the conversation that it's about preference, because it's not. Okay, this coach is unwilling to work with someone if they want to date someone of a different race. A part of me doesn't think that's real. A part of me thinks that this is virtue signaling, but who knows? I have no idea about that person. Maybe they actually have let someone go because they wouldn't date another race or weren't open to it because of that preference. So this one has a ton of likes. So here's my take, not just as a love professional, but as a PhD who specialized in Black feminist thought, critical race theories, multiple literacies, and rhetorical theories. Attractions are shaped by racist ideologies. One of the projects of white supremacist capitalist patriarchy is to dehumanize the other, and one way to do that was through the uglification of colonized people. They'd portray natives as ugly to make it easier to enact violence against them. It's happened over and over again. For example, notice that Asian women are often viewed as more desirable for all races, but Asian men are not. It happens with black men and women too, so it may not be personal, but it is influenced by racial bias. Again, a lot of likes on this, and she did nail the truth about Asian women, that they are seen as more attractive, and I know that Asian men have a much, much harder time to meet people online. Now we have a coach who specializes in the science of love, and the science shows that we are most attracted to people of different genetics. So that would probably make us most attracted to someone of a different race. But the brain has veto power. That's based on society and parenting. For example, if you're conditioned to date someone of a particular religion, you'll automatically reject anyone else. It's definitely hard to argue. There's a very, very strong pull for religious people to date and marry people of their own religion. Another coach says science also shows that by default, we like different, but not too different. Any differences that are too much are scary to the nervous system. And the coach verified that is true. I forgot to put in the fear of different or unfamiliar that can veto the attraction also. So good point. The next comment, I so say that dating is the only area where racism is allowed. It's not racism though. Just like in the world, many times we call racism when it isn't. I would love this person to expand a little bit more. They just got one like and there was no comments on there. That seems like a pretty controversial thought compared to what everyone else is saying. Would love to hear more from that person. Maybe you can respond to that in the comment section. Here's a question. How is it not racist to exclude a race from dating? People are upping, but they're not answering the question. So I am curious about that. I'm curious what people think on that. Next comment is, I find it racist. However, I get the same argument from them about not being able to help what they're attracted to. And I personally don't believe that argument is a true fact. We can change who we are attracted to. Is that true? I wouldn't take that person on as a client. Years ago, when I wasn't as selective, I had a Black, African-born and US-raised female client who would only date white men. But guess what? We worked through it and she married a Black man. This coach believes that that attraction, it's not primal, it's not something that you can change who you're attracted to. I mean, that is very, very, very interesting. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if we can change who we are attracted to. And I don't think that's the real question here of can we change who we're attracted to. The question is, if you don't want to date someone of a particular race, is it racist? Next comment. This is one of the things I find important to challenge clients about. It's the same vein as wanting someone of a certain height. It's a great window. That's interesting. So she's comparing wanting someone of some race to being the same as wanting someone with a certain height. It's a great window for self-analysis. How do we pick up our attraction types? Of course, it's a socialized phenomenon, and to dismantle our conditioning is to take one step closer to genuine love and relating. So for all the women out there who want a guy who's at least 5'10" or something or taller, this coach is saying that that is the same as you wanting to date one race or another. So it's all, I guess, physical preference or appearance is all similar to this coach. Okay, here's another comment. Race preferences exist because of racist ideologies and Eurocentric beauty standards that are explicitly racist. Please do investigate to determine if someone is inexperienced in building relationships with people who are different than them, or if they're explicitly and deeply bigoted. I think this is even more important for the people you might try to set them up with. Another comment, there's an important difference between the Constitution that forbids the government to discriminate for race, gender, age, etc., and the simple fact that people have preferences for whom to date. He's saying that it's just preferences and it's not racist. Here's a longer answer. I don't consider it racist to have a cultural, religious, or looks preference for your life partner. One must be romantically attracted as well. Humans are so visual and we all have such varied preferences. Many of us have had clients that won't date someone with a certain hair color or eye color. It goes that far. That's a little crazy to me. When I first started working 2 decades ago, 95% of the men I interviewed stated that they didn't want to date a redhead. When I asked why, they'd say because of the white skin, freckles, and bad temper. Is that true? Then I kicked them in the shins and threw them out of the office. I've had white male clients who prefer Latin, Asian, or Black women, others who prefer their own race. We really can't force ourselves to change our tastes. So that might be the topic of another video. Can we change our preferences on who we're attracted to? Of course, it would be so great if people opened up more on this and regarded personality and soul before outer preferences, but I haven't seen that yet. Maybe one day. I personally do think it's racist. I get sick inside when a potential client says something like this up front on our first call, but if I do choose to take them on as a client, my job is to broaden their horizon, but I personally don't work with people who are overly committed to physical traits. It's not fun for me. This coach says, would preferring one gender over another be sexist? Personally, I don't see the comparison. I think this is different. The next comment is, so much depends on context. Is it a Black woman preferring only other Black people? Not racist. Is it a white person only wanting to date white people? That's probably racist because you can't be white in America and not be racist, but possibly also afraid that they would lack the cultural competency to date people different from them and would rather stick with what they know. Is it a white man only wanting to date Black women? Not only is that racist, it's fetishizing. Same goes for white men who want to date Asian women. It's so fascinating to me. There's such strong opinions that I didn't really realize all these different coaches have. Let me know in the comment section. Again, I'd love to have a nice, respectful discussion filled with, respect, patience, and tolerance. At the end of the day, we are all human beings. And my hope is that this shift leads to a better place. If you found this conversation interesting at all, please hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel for more information, for more exploration about the sacred power of love and connection. and building healthy, happy, committed relationships. I'm Jason Silver with A Track Rate Guys. Thanks so much for watching. Be well.